Okay folks, I'm back with another fundamental strike. This one is the snake strike. Probably the coolest and most useful strike for self-defense, for serious self-defense situations I should say. So remember that, serious self-defense only for these ones, because you can really hurt someone with a finger strike. The other disclaimer that I want to put out there when doing these is that to effect a really good snake strike with the fingers, you obviously need to have really well-conditioned fingers and hands. So it goes without saying that if you hit something hard with your fingers and your fingers are not strong enough, then you're going to hurt your fingers, okay? So please, if you're going to practice these, start with something soft like a pillow or a cushion, and then build up to things that are harder as you practice your strike. Okay, so the most important part of a snake strike is it has a whipping or a thrusting action. So it's very loose. It comes out much looser than a punch. It's very yin, but then we have this energy generated. And when I do it faster in a minute, you'll see it. The action is thrusting out, and we thrust from the back of the shoulder through the elbow into the wrist. And as we get to the wrist pushes down, but not all the way down like this, but it pushes into position and it thrusts the fingers forward. So as we strike, it thrusts those fingers forward, and you'll see the energy as my fingers wobble out the end. So I'm directing all of that force through my fingertips, okay? Now, some styles you'll see them do their snake strike like this. They have this bent, this raised, and then the tips of the fingers bent again. And this forms a really strong snake strike. So if you want to hit a target like the chest or the ribs or something like that, you would generally make your snake strike like that. So you have the knuckles, the major knuckles pushed down, the middle finger knuckles lifted up, and that creates like a bridge which comes into the flat of your hand and forms a really strong snake strike. Now, most of the time, I'll just have mine loose. My fingers are really strong, so I'm not worried about hurting my fingers. So wherever I strike, I keep mine pretty loose. My fingers will be slightly spread, and I'll just make sure I have a really straight line between my elbow, wrist flat, and fingers, so that as I strike with that snake strike, I have that looseness here, but it's still really strong because I've done the conditioning on it, and then I can strike and I can use that on the soft targets of the head or face or body, okay? So again, like our other videos, you can practice the snake strike from any guard, shoulder width guard or center guard, and you can thrust those fingers out. Now, where do you want to aim for? So if you're practicing for self-defense and you're practicing for a serious self-defense situation, then, which is what we do in Kung Fu, then we're aiming for either the throat or the eyes. Generally in our classes when we're teaching form, we're teaching people to strike at their eye height. So I'll strike on the center line and at my eye height. If I do that from the side, you'll see that it's angled up as I'm down in my bow stance. It's angled up, it's on my center line, and I'm looking directly through the tips of my fingers. Let's do that slowly. Pushing, twisting out, always twisting. Striking out, twisting from the backhand, twisting. Now I can do this from a static guard because I'm generating the force here. From the back of my shoulders, I'm pushing my whole shoulder girdle forward and striking, strike. You see, strike, just like that. So from the front, again, your guard, strike. And then pull it in, strike. Pull in, strike. You're flicking. You see the action, the flick. It's like an arrow shooting out, a cobra shooting out. Coil back and then shoot that hand and the power out through the fingertips. Feel the power come shooting out through the fingertips when you're practicing your snake strike. So you can stand in your bow stance, keep switching sides so that you can practice right foot forward or left foot forward, and then you're going to practice that. You just do 10 on each side, then switch your stance. Do a 10 on each side. The more you practice individual techniques on their own and refine them, the better your overall Kung Fu is going to be. See you in the next video.